What's up, nerds? Scumbag Rob here for all your D&D needs. In this video, we're going to talk about the subclasses that come with the fighter. I've already done the video on the fighter, so you can check that out up there or in the wherever YouTube stuff, right? But yeah, we want to see what this does thematically as a role player. That's what I'm looking for. So we're going to take a look at what they propose is better thematically for your fighters. So without further ado, grab your coffee or your dead people tea, sit back, let's go on a journey together.
Fighter Battlemaster is one of my absolute favorites. They have a complexity to them that makes you feel like a cowboy.
Love a Battlemaster.
And that
so
is
versatile.
the identity that we have protected in the revised Battlemaster. There was actually an early version of the revised fighter where and I know actually there are many 5e fans who expected us to do this.
Right.
We considered taking the Battlemaster and turning its maneuver system into the baseline for the whole class.
Right.
And we actually spent quite a bit of time several years ago assuming that was the direction we were going in with the fighter.
I don't like that idea though.
As you can
take
see,
away the
backed
personality
away
of
from
it.
that.
Yeah.
And the main reason we did so is we realized that would undermine our goal of providing different levels of complexity.
That's why
for
I don't like
people
it.
And different play styles within the fighter.
Yep.
Because even though
100%.
there are a segment of fans, you included, who love the Battlemaster, there are also many fighter players who have no interest in playing the Battlemaster.
I can understand
or
that.
having this whole array of maneuvers.
Yeah.
It's quite
manage.
complex.
In many ways, I'm glad for the Battlemaster's sake.
So to touch on that, because now the fighter has, with his weapon, it can now use different maneuvers such as push pulls, pushing people prone, stuff like that, already on their weapons, and adding more onto that with the Battlemaster. If you don't want to play a very complex character, or you're new to D&D, or you just want to kind of sit back, or you want to kind of dip your feet into this class when you're multi-classing, Battlemaster's can be very complex. So maybe this isn't the class for you. So I like the idea they've kept it out of the main class. But yeah, this is good. This is good.
That we did not absorb it into the base class because it allowed us to protect the Battlemaster as the Battlemaster.
Yep.
So a big part of bringing the Battlemaster into the new PH was making sure that the maneuvers were all functioning as well as they could.
Cool.
Not only in the context of the fighter and the Battlemaster, but also in the context of other revisions we've done in the game. But then we also added in new maneuvers. So
That's good.
if people thought there were a lot before, well, there are even more.
Yeah.
Good. I
Because
like
now
that.
you have ambush, bait and switch,
Bait and switch was
commanding presence,
brilliant.
and tactical assessment.
All
These
good.
maneuver options debuted in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything.
I've seen them. They're really good.
And we have brought them over now to the player's handbook
Bait and switch,
to
like,
join the
number
other
one
options,
maneuver.
within the Battlemaster.
And again, I always liked commanding presence because this, again, fleshed out, even though you are primarily, but maybe you could be a ranged or melee character, you have additional social options.
Which is always
that makes
good.
sense for that character. Like it fleshes out the character experience that you're having.
That non-combat angle is also a part of some other tweaks we made inside the Battlemaster.
Good.
So in the
We want
Student of
more
War
stuff for a
feature,
fighter to do
it
outside
used
of
to be
combat.
you got just a tool proficiency. Well, we now also allow
Tools
you
are better
to
now,
get another skill proficiency from the fighter's skill list because we wanted
Okay.
the Battlemaster to feel more well-rounded.
Cool. Yeah.
And because we imagine the Battlemaster as this sort of chess-playing tactical master who, yes, it's in the name, they are a master of battle, but also
Thematically.
cunning and clever. And so that's why we added in that additional skill proficiency.
Thematically,
We also
on brand.
completely redesigned the Battlemaster's Know Your Enemy feature.
Okay.
Cool.
We wanted it to have clearer use in battle And so now, when you use it, and you have a limited number of uses per day, but when you use it,
it's another resource
you are
you need to
able to
manage.
discern a creature's immunities, resistances, and vulnerabilities. Essentially,
Why?
it's in the name.
I mean, you are a
know your
fighter.
enemy. You
Okay.
size them up, and you're able to figure out,
Yeah.
you know, the types
I
of
like that.
damage that's going to do nothing to them, but then also you're going to discern their weaknesses.
That's good.
Perfect.
So the champion has still
Champion,
the same
okay.
core identity as before, having a greater chance of scoring critical hits
Cool.
than pretty much anyone else in the game.
Champion was
But
always
we really
like,
wanted to.
the champion was always the worst core fighter subclass, just because they didn't do very much. So they have to make significant increases. I mean, I'm looking at this bar down here, right? They have to make considerable changes to the fighter to keep it on par with a battlemaster now. So that's what I like to see, that there's not one single subclass or two single subclasses out of the core 4 that's better than all the others. You know, champion needs to be brought up to the level of the battlemaster. Battlemaster now sounds phenomenal.
Bring a bit more oomph to the subclass.
Good, because it needs
so
it.
that it would not only continue to be fun for the people who love its more streamlined play style,
Very simple as well.
so that it might appeal to even those of us who often like a bunch of tactical options.
Okay.
Which is one of the reasons why in our playtests I spent so much time myself playing a champion, because I wanted the champion to be at a place where I myself can say I had a great time playing it.
So
Right.
And I can
it's got
say
Jeremy
that
Crawford's
wholeheartedly, that
seal of
I have had my
approval.
most
It's going to
fun
be
in
good,
the
right?
last year and a half of my playtesting playing a champion fighter. So weapon mastery with the champion is really like wonderful spice added to a tight, streamlined base. Again,
Okay.
you still wanted to make sure that the champion retained its streamlined nature while getting a little more spice of its own, not
Cool.
relying entirely
Adding a
on
little
weapon
bit to
mastery
it, not
bring
too
that
much.
spice, but to get some of its own. And so with that in mind, we redesigned the Remarkable Athlete feature.
Okay.
And it now does a couple of things. First, combining with the champion's greater chance of scoring critical hits, Remarkable Athlete has made it so that whenever the champion scores a critical hit, the champion can move a certain distance without provoking opportunity attacks. So this allows the champion perhaps to score a crit and fell a target, and then without
move to
having
the next
to
one.
use any of their regular move, start making their way toward their next target.
Love that.
Or,
So-
move.
So do you know in the movie Troy, where Brad Pitt at the beginning of the movie, where he's just kind of walking towards that huge guy and he starts jogging and he just jumps up in the air, stabs him, and then just continues moving forward. That's what I mean, that's literally the key of a critical hit and then continue moving. That is this, right? That is literally what they've just explained. Unfortunately, there's no any more enemies for Brad Pitt to destroy at that point as Achilles. But you know, you get the idea.
Another tactically advantageous position on the battlefield. We've also made it so that Remarkable Athlete gives the champion advantage on strength athletics checks.
Cool.
But even better,
Again, outside of
on
combat, love it.
initiative rolls. Because we
Yeah.
view the champion as being this person who is relentlessly pursuing victory, and they are ready to fight.
It's Achilles,
And
right?
there are only a
The champion is
few
Achilles.
characters in the player's handbook who have this, once they reach a certain level, an always-on advantage on initiative. And the champion is one, the assassin is another, and the rogue, and then the barbarian class all up eventually gets it. This ability
Interested to
is
see those
not
two.
only fantastic on its own, because it simply means you have a better chance of acting first, or at least sooner, in any battle that you're participating in, but it has an especially nice interaction with how surprise now works. Because the surprise
changed
rules
surprise
in
then.
the new player's handbook have been changed. Rather than there being a potential for certain combatants to simply be unable to act during the first round of a fight.
Which I never really liked.
That frankly ended up really unbalancing the game in certain circumstances, because
you just set up so much.
The old surprise rules could very easily trivialize an entire encounter, and often
both ways
more
as well
so than they were intended to. You know, it was really supposed to be
both
sort of a
ways.
narrative thing of, oh look, you got the jump on somebody.
Both ways, right? So if you're the one being surprised, having an entire round of, you know, you're just not aware of it unless you have the specific feat, you know, what's it, alert, it sucks, because you are, you know, most of the time you're down half HP before the round even starts. And then the other way round, if you get the jump on an enemy or group of enemies, it takes the fun out of it. It does take the fun out of it.
But causing another side to essentially spend the entire first round of a combat
doing nothing.
Docking,
Yeah.
would often mean, in some cases, why are we even having the fight?
Yeah.
The DM can just say, you won.
Yeah.
And
So
so we
thematically, it
wanted
didn't
there
make
still
sense.
to be the possibility of feeling like you have an edge, but we needed to defang how powerful surprise was.
Right. How have they
And
done this?
so in the new rules, being surprised simply means you have disadvantage on your initiative roll.
Cool.
Meaning you are likely to go after the people who surprised you, although it's not guaranteed. The reason why I'm bringing this up in relation to the champion is it means, because the champion always has advantage on their initiative rolls,
They're generally,
even if they're surprised,
Right, yeah.
it's
they
a flat
still
roll.
have disadvantage. It just means their advantage is canceled by the disadvantage. Meaning the champion, the assassin, and the barbarian are really hard to surprise, which
Cool.
is exactly what we want. We want these characters
Yeah.
to,
Always be ready.
they are ready.
Yeah.
They
Again,
are ready to
I've
fight.
got this Achilles,
Or in the case of the assassin, they're ready to get you.
these
They don't want
Achilles
this- they don't
imagery
want
in my
fight.
head.
They just
Yeah,
want,
no.
they want to end the fight.
Yeah, the assassin wants the fight to end before it even
Already,
starts.
it's already over. Yeah.
So there's some other enhancements in the champion. The
Still
additional
a champion, by the way.
fighting style feature that used to be at level 10 has moved down to level 7.
Cool.
And then at level 10, there's now a brand new feature. It's called Heroic Warrior. And
We're slightly more in.
every time the champion starts their turn in combat and doesn't have heroic inspiration, they get it automatically.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And remember, the new heroic inspiration lets you re-roll any die roll. So the
damage
champion could
or
use this to re-roll
attack.
the d20 roll in the hope of fishing for crits, but they could also use it to re-roll
Fishing
a
for
damage
crits.
die or
Love
some
that
other
terminology.
die that they're using on their turn. What this means is that a champion, every turn in combat, has a re-roll in their pocket,
Cool. Okay.
which, again, simple,
Yeah.
but potentially very effective.
Yeah, for a champion, that makes sense.
Finally, their level
Thematically,
18 feature, Survivor,
it's on brand.
now, in addition to its other functions that it had before, also gives the champion advantage on death saving throws, and they essentially gain their expanded crit range that they have on attack rolls, also on death saves. And here's what I mean by that. Now,
I'm not
when they're making
sure I
death
like
saving
that.
throws, if they roll an 18, 19, or 20 when they have this survivor feature, they gain the benefit of having rolled a 20. They basically,
Yeah.
they can roll a critical death saving throw with a bigger range, since that's also
Not sure I
their
like
theme
that.
with their attack rolls.
I get that.
Meaning,
Right.
it is real.
I get that it's on theme, right? The crits mean more to a champion. I get that. But when you're unconscious, you're unconscious. We're no longer talking about combat. When you're unconscious and stopping yourself from dying, that's no longer combat. You should not get. I feel that I don't like that. That's so far the entire fighter. That's the only thing I don't like. You're a champion in battle, not in being unconscious or dying. You're not, that doesn't. It's not like a. You know, if it was like a death. You know, there's some kind of class that's. You know, the necrotic wizard or the death cleric, if those are new classes, subclasses, sorry, then yeah, okay, that makes sense. But not the champion. The champion's good at fighting. He's the best at fighting, or she's the best at fighting. Not stopping yourself from dying. I don't like that.
Really hard to keep a champion down.
And what is a critical death saving throw do?
So when you roll a 20 on a death saving throw, you gain a hit point, which means you stop dying.
Yeah.
So that's the best thing that can happen.
So they've changed that
because
death saves
that
are different
erases all of the death saving throw failures you might have accrued up to that point, and then you have the potential to get back into the fight.
Lots of people want to play a fighter. A lot of people want to play a wizard, but there's always been something like, I want a little bit of magic with me having a sword, having a longbow, just a little touch of magic, and that's what.
So the core 3 classes are back.
And the Eldritch Knight is tapping into that.
Right.
Exactly. It's meant to be not only there for the person who wants the fighter mage, but maybe even for somebody who played original D&D where elf was a class option that mixed spellcasting and martial ability. And that is exactly what the Eldritch Knight is. The Eldritch Knight retains, its core abilities from 2014, the spellcasting combined with the abilities.
Love how
the
thematic
fighter.
an Eldritch Knight can be.
The Eldritch Knight in the quartet of classes, rather subclasses, in the fighter, is the first of 2. The other one being the Psy Warrior.
Okay, that's a new one.
That are for people who want
one,
the fighter mixed with something else.
Yeah.
So the champion and the battle master, they represent sort of the core fighter, but at different ends of the complexity spectrum.
Unmagical,
the Eldritch
I would
Knight and the
class
Psy Warrior, they're instead on a different axis. They're about taking the core shtick of the fighter and combining it with, in the case of the Eldritch Knight, spellcasting, and in the case of the Psy Warrior, psionic power.
Cool.
And they give you 2 very different routes to follow, also mechanically, because the Eldritch Knight relies on spells.
Wizard spells normally.
While
it was.
the
Wizard
Psy
spells might
Warrior
be different.
relies on psionic energy dice.
Okay.
And using unique abilities.
So it's the same as before.
Oh
look, it's the 80s group.
Warrior subclass. Now, in the Eldritch Knight, we've made
I've updated them a little bit. They've grown up.
To take this popular subclass and make it even better. So one of the things that people will notice right away if they've played the Eldritch Knight before is we no longer have any School of Magic restrictions in the Eldritch Knight. The Eldritch Knight, as well as the Rogue's Arcane Trickster subclass, used to have School of Magic restrictions in them when it came to your spell selection, and we have removed the restrictions from both of those subclasses.
That's good.
Because we wanted
thematically,
you to have more
that's really
freedom
good.
to build the type of warrior mage you wanted to build with
That's
the Eldritch
really
Knight,
good,
or in
yeah.
the case of the Arcane Trickster, the type of rogue mage that you wanted to create.
Cool. Love that.
The Eldritch Knight also is helpful for the
Jeremy
person who
Crawford just
maybe does not want to dive into multi-classing,
I think it did.
but again wants a little bit of the chocolate mixed with their peanut butter.
Right.
That is the warrior
Not a fan of
mage.
chocolate peanut butter, by the way.
Now, in addition to that, we've also given the Eldritch Knight the ability to use an arcane focus.
Okay.
A detail that was missing in 2014.
Okay.
And then we've redesigned both War Magic and Improved War Magic.
Okay.
Previously, War Magic relied on you taking a bonus action to gain its benefit. Instead, you can now, with War Magic, take the attack action and replace one of your attacks with casting a cantrip. And then Improved War Magic,
Okay.
which also now does not rely on a bonus action, now lets you, when you take the attack action, replace 2 of your attacks to cast a level 1 or level 2 spell.
Right,
So what
okay.
this does
Whoa.
is...
Does that mean, can we still cast it at a bonus action? Or is it are we now restricted solely by action? Because that I'm not. I can see the benefits of that, but I can also see the flaw in that, because you're now making it harder to cast cantrips or spells. It gives us more versatility that we can cast different spells and cantrips on our turn. I mean, fighters do get the most attacks per round, or per actions, should I say, but I don't know if I like that. I guess it's kind of balanced. It just I guess, yeah, no. Thematically, it makes sense, right? You attack with your sword and then throw a fireball in someone's face, or not fireball, but firebolts. Or you attack and you use, poison spray, something along those lines, as an action. Okay, yeah, I can kind of, I can deal with that.
Even better, integrate
I like it. I love it.
the two parts of the Eldritch Knight's identity, their fighterliness and their spellcasting abilities, by taking the spellcasting abilities and really allowing them to take advantage of one of the fighter's main features relative to anyone else in the game,
right.
And that is simply the number of attacks.
It's just facilitating,
right?
Yeah, it's just facilitating
their
that.
extra attack feature gain more attacks than anyone else in the game. The one exception being the monk. The monk does not get all their extra attacks through extra attack. Instead, it's through various unarmed strike shenanigans with their bonus action.
Let's hope they fix the monk.
And of course, it's the good kind of shenanigans.
Let's see.
So this allows,
that'll be in another video,
in the Eldritch Knight, the ability for the fighter to integrate their spellcasting into the regular attack routine, and then frees up their bonus action for other uses, so that it
second wind and
being
such
devoured by their subclass's main shtick.
That's what's new with the Eldritch Knight. Let's talk about the Psy Warrior.
So the Psy Warrior.
Glad to see this one make
first
the core books.
In Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, and is a way for you to take the fighter foundation and add to it this character who manipulates the battlefield with the powers of their mind. And this includes various telekinetic abilities, being able to hurl things around with your mind, as well as defensive capabilities.
Thematically, it's a tick, right?
Handled by using psionic energy dice that represent your character's psionic energy. And the subclass, for anyone who has played it before, will feel very similar. In the main changes that we've made to it in integrating it into the new player's handbook has largely been to just reword things, reframe some things so that it fits naturally in the context of the new rulebook.
So they've kept Psionic Warrior roughly the same.
Fighter class.
It would
seem.
seem.
You're giving the fighter law new things.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's the core
some
class.
Dramatic improvements and changes, and a lot more to do. That's fantastic.
So there you have it. That's your 4 subclasses. It seems that they've made significant changes to the champion, which I like. I'm not sure about the death save thing, because champion of combat doesn't mean champion of staying alive. But the Battle Master, thematically, it makes sense. It's better. Eldritch Knight, we'll see how that works in combat. Replacing, you're now able to access your bonus action, especially if you want to multi-class into different bits and pieces. Having everything, your whole subclass overrun by a bonus action, and then you take Rogue, for example, not being able to do Rogue stuff as a bonus action. I like it. Okay, it's. I've had time to think about it, and it kind of makes sense. But Psionic Warrior, it's essentially straight out of Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. And from what I've seen from the other videos, there's a lot of things. Anything that comes from Tasha's is almost untouched. As Jeremy said, it's kind of like wording has been changed. So yeah, I mean, all in all, thematically for me, I mean, combat-wise, they look great. And thematically, I like it. I like the improvements. It allows you to roleplay more, and that's what I'm really looking for as a player. I love combat, but more at its fundamentals for me. role playing is it's a role playing game, not a combat game. If you want to play a combat game, go play Warhammer. You know, that's that. There's other war games, games that you can play. Dungeons and Dragons is a role playing game at heart, so it is now anyway. So yeah, from me, Fighter gets a big thumbs up with fighting. They've improved it so that it's more thematic, more opportunity for role playing. But thank you very much for sticking through. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what subclass you're thinking about taking up. If you took Fighter, which of the 4 you feel you would take up, if you had to choose one. So I'm gonna log off. I will catch you guys soon. Thanks very much.